I want to talk with you about something very important, about the different rhythms of life, about the different cycles of life. And there is actually a law called the law of rhythms. But I want to take you on a little journey to share with you the way I experience it myself and the way this really elevated my experience with myself and with life. And there are, like, life is rhythmical. Life is full of cycles. It's like this up and this down, and then this turn around again, and then up and down again, and then higher up and then higher down. And so that's life. And when we are on that journey, on that spiritual journey, on that personal development journey, what I noticed for myself and in others is that we aim to actually get rid of these cycles, to get rid of these rhythms. We just want the highs. We just want to be connected all the time and plugged in and like really creating from deep within us. And we don't want to feel all that kind of other stuff anymore, like the pain and the suffering and the discomfort and the frustration and the anger and the sadness and I don't know what. Especially when we think we're done with it already and it just shows up again, you're like, wait, weren't we done? And obviously we were not done yet. So it really is not about you being done with anything. It's about you giving yourself full permission to experience yourself in this, on this juicy journey of like experiencing it all, the highs and the lows, the ups and the downs, the turnarounds, just everything. And this is actually where the juiciness is coming in. When you stop resisting what is and when you give yourself the allowance to just be with it and open up for the pleasure, open up for the ecstasy, the orgasmic, open up for you in that very moment. So then there is perfection in everything. And you stop wanting to have something gone or stop wanting to be done with something. You acknowledge it. And in you acknowledging it, there is the magic is unfolding. The beauty is unfolding. The ekstase is unfolding. The pleasure is unfolding. Because you start being with it. And that's what pleasure is about. You being with what is. Do you need to choose it again? Does it need to be your preference? No. But in that moment, it is there. And in that moment, all you gotta do is you're gonna acknowledge that it's there. You honor it. And you open up for whatever feels that comes along with it. And this is the moment you're opening up for you. This is the moment you're opening up for pleasure. When you stop wanting it to be away. And when you're just with it. Feeling it. Being it all. Knowing that this is not who you are. Knowing that this is not the truth. Choosing then what it is that you want to experience. And looking at it through the eyes of love. And that elevates your experience immediately with yourself and with that very moment. So then there are these ups and these downs and these turnarounds. There is the light and there's the darkness. And I want you to hold yourself in everything. And I want you to get rid of the idea back, because that idea just creates so much suffering, unnecessary suffering. The idea that you are going to be done, the idea that it's just like all sparkly and glittery and blissful. And yes, again, it can be blissful when that's what you're choosing in that moment. But in order to experience the bliss in the dark, you can't resist it. You can't want it to be away. You have to surrender yourself fully to it, to whatever it is. But what we're often trying in that spiritual bubble, in that personal development bubble, we're trying to make it go away. We are labeling it as something wrong, something that needs to be fixed, something that needs to be worked on, instead of just seeing the beauty of it. And this is actually where fast and very powerful shifts are happening. When you stop judging it as something wrong, when you just stop judging it as something that needs to be worked on, when you just acknowledge it with love. So then there are these cycles. There are moments throughout your day, throughout the weeks, throughout months, throughout the year, where you might be very high on life, very connected, like very plugged in to you, into the truth. And then there might be other moments where the complete opposite is happening. All the illusions are coming up, the stories, the old stories of separation, of lack, of pain. And I want you to just be with it and trust me. This is the moment when you choose to be with it. Not choosing it, but just choosing to be with it and choosing something different, that which you truly want, is the moment you start shifting very, very powerfully. This is the moment when you start experiencing yourself very, very deeply, very, very intimately. This is the moment you experience love with yourself. This is actually the moment you're making love with you and you're making love with life. And this is the moment you're unlocking ekstase within you. Because it's no longer about what's going on. It's all about you giving yourself the permission to be. And the permission to be is pure ecstasy. It's rapture. Being you. And being you means being you with whatever it is that is coming up. Not wanting anything to be different, but choosing something different. And it's kind of like melting those two parts, like the one part of like choosing it to be, choosing to be with it, and at the same time choosing something different, that which you truly want, because you know that separation, that pain, that is not the truth. So it's like a decision that is kind of like melting into one another. And it's very, very powerful. It's very profound. And it doesn't have to take long for you to make that shift. And the more you're making that shift, again, like with everything, the easier it gets, the better you get at it, to just shift it. But I want you to get away, get rid of the idea that it has to take time, that you have to go through a lot of pain. All I want you to understand is be with it. Not from a space of preference, because this is what happens as well often, that we're so used to these kind of like uncomfortable states and feelings that we're like craving it, like give me more of that, like getting in there. No, from a place of acknowledging, from a place of honoring, from a place of just being with it, feeling it, and at the same time choosing the abundance, choosing that which you truly want, the limitless. But the limitless, the expansion, the ekstase kind of like requires you to be with what is, to not wanting it to be different. Because you wanting it to be different is resistance. And resistance is always bringing you more of that which you actually don't want. That is resistance. Simple as that. The more you resist, the more you get what you actually don't want to get. My invitation for you, be with what is, appreciate, acknowledge those rhythms, acknowledge those cycles, acknowledge the wave throughout the day, throughout the week, the month, the years. Like acknowledge these waves and write them. Just write them. Because again, this is like the whole spectrum. This is actually feeling yourself fully, being with everything that just is. And this is what enriches your experience with everything. This is actually what lets you create the limitless. Simply being and choosing different. Yesterday, I had a moment where yesterday I decided to create some content, to record some videos. That's what I did, but I didn't really feel plugged in. There is a difference when I'm really plugged in. For example, right now, I'm really plugged in. Like I just created some crazy stuff, content for you. And you notice the different energy. So then yesterday, I did not feel it that way, but I planned to create content that was just part of yesterday's schedule. I did it anyway. I showed up because that was my choice. That doesn't mean that you always have to follow along the choice, but in that moment, it was important for me to show up. Even though I wasn't plugged in fully, I was still very inspired. So then today I did not have planned to create content. But I felt it. I was like, okay, I'm on fire today. I'm really plugged into source. I gonna show up today with that energy because I know that energy that is gonna move you. The words gonna move you. My presence gonna move you. What I'm gonna talk about moves you. So I'm gonna show up anyway. So then, of course, like today, like being in that energy, like really like plugged in, like letting it flow through me. Of course, it's a different vibe. Of course, it's a different experience. But yesterday, that experience of me just showing up anyway, that was also a very powerful one. So why am I sharing that example with you? There are these cycles, these waves, these moves. And that's just normal. And I want you to let it be normal. And I want you to enjoy yourself deeply, no matter what. Even if it's going down, maybe. Even if it's right into the darkness. Enjoy yourself. Stop wanting it to be gone. Be with it. And choose what you truly want. Choose the truth. And the truth is prosperity, it's abundant, it is wealth, it is the limitless. So choose that while you're being with what is present right now and enjoying yourself fully. I'm sending you lots of love.